Hi everybody, I'm Courtney from Truth Body Systems. Today we're going to walk you through the Sumo Barbell Deadlift. This exercise is designed to work your posterior chain, which means essentially everything on the back side of your body. So you'll feel a little bit in your upper back, your erectors or your lower back, but primarily the main drivers are going to be your hamstrings and your glute muscles. Paris is going to now demonstrate for us what the Sumo Deadlift looks like. Okay, so you want to start by walking up to the bar. Your shins essentially want to be just as close as possible to the bar itself. As for your foot position, take a wide stance. This is why it's called a sumo deadlift, because you're almost positioning yourself like a sumo wrestler. As for your hand position, bring your hands into the center of the bar. You don't necessarily need them to be touching each other. There can be some space in between, but do make sure that your hands are inside of your toes, which, by the way, speaking of your toes, we want your toes to be pointed outwards ever so slightly. Sit back so that the weight of your body and the weight of the bar is primarily in your heels. As you come up, you want to really focus on bringing the hips forward. Make sure as you're coming up, you're starting with your lats already in position. So get your lats set, meaning retract your back muscles so that you're not trying to retract your back and pull the bar up at the same time. You really want to have your lats set in position and then you lift through the bar. Focusing on driving your hips forward so that your hips are actually meeting the bar. One thing you don't want to do is actually hyperextend, exactly as Paris demonstrated, coming too far forward so that you're actually bending further back. That's a no-no. You want to make sure that your hips are meeting the bar and you're stopping there. It's a very explosive movement, and when you get to the top, drop the weight back down. Mistake number 2 that we see with the deadlift is rounding your back. Your back should be in a tabletop position. So you want it to be flat all the way from the bottom through to the top of your spine. Rounding your back is simply the easiest way to get injured doing a deadlift. Speaking of the tabletop position, when you do your deadlift, watch your neck and watch your gaze. So you want to make sure that your gaze is downwards. You're not lifting your head up. Don't check yourself out in the mirror as you're doing it. What that ends up doing is it changes the position of your spine away from that tabletop position. So instead of your back then being flat, it turns out that your back kind of curves up at the end with your spine when your neck is looking up. And that is your sumo deadlift.